good afternoon. Is April 25th, 2023. The sun has been quiet through the overnight hours, really hasn't been much in the way of any flaring, maybe a small sea. Has not been any CMEs since yesterday. We do have a lot of tornadoes and filament activity on the peripheral range. You will note this area that we've been watching is rotating out. But this area I want you to pay close attention to as this rotates through. You can begin to see how it's boiling and watch this filament develop down here. Watch how the energy travels down that filament range and creates activity and electrical activity moving in that direction. So I'm going to stop this, rotate or bring it up here to the latest view. We have a filament pushing out the bottom of this. If it erupts, it's going to push down and away if it erupts in that direction. If it erupts outward, it is enough earth spacing that we would probably get a clip from it. Especially if it is a very large eruption, we could get a clip from this. Have filaments here, have some filaments reaching over. I think this coronal hole goes underneath these filaments and back into here. I think this is a very complex structure right here. We have our coronal hole back here, or our sunspots back here that are rotating in. That will take another day and a half before we can really see the structure of that sunspot. Behind it, we have something coming, and we can begin to see bright spots here in a tornado, filament loops that are probably a day, 2 days behind this front one. Have a coronal hole developing here. Let's go look at the sunspot region. Remember yesterday there was a more developed sunspot here that had more polarity here. There was red and green, the positive and negative. We had, this was much smaller and it had the positive and negative drawn much closer. This was much smaller. This actually is its own sunspot now. So we're talking this right here, this structure on the upper part is a beta class. It is asymmetrical and it is open, which means it is growing and changing and rapidly morphing. It is not got, it's got wide margins here. This is not drawn in tight enough. I think it will have an eruptive activity from this right now. But you have all of these negatives completely surrounding this that could pop up and draw some of this negative here into this, then that will become more eruptive. This down here, they have named 3288. This right here is where a lot of your energy is coming from. This is a beta class, meaning it's got two polarities, positive and negative. And I would say it doesn't have very defined, it's got a very defined line between the positive and negative. It's very tightly wrapped. Okay, this is drawing in very, very close and tight to each other to where it's going to raise those loops off the surface of the sun to the point that they can jump off the surface of the sun. This is where you're getting that large filament started. And this is the sunspot or the area that filament is originating, and the energy is shooting down that filament from this area. This is bipolar. It is symmetrical, meaning it's mirroring each other. It's a symmetrical sunspot, multiple penumbra, and it is also got a spot back here that is rapidly developing with the positive and the negative back here as well. So, early morning hours, NOAA really changed their forecast here to where our 8 o'clock hour is right here. They predict going into the overnight hours, we're going to see a plasma kick. That means the density is going to go up, and it's going to be charged particles, which can create a little bit larger aurora event coming in. Then they're predicting midday, late afternoon, we're going to start getting the winds from the coronal hole tomorrow afternoon, that the solar storm is going to hit before the winds do. So they're not expecting a scoop shovel. It depends on whether they have this tacked down right or not. Right now, their predictions have not been right. They have been predicting that we're going to have a KP4 at our 10 o'clock in the morning hour, and that has not happened. It has stayed down underneath a KP, between a KP2 and just over a KP3 all day. So we are well behind or underneath what they have predicted. So either we're going to hit underneath what they thought we would, or it's moving much, much slower than they thought we would. It may be a case of the wind is just the wrong polarity, and some of the particles are getting pushed away. It's going to be a crapshoot tonight. That's all I can say. Nothing has been what I would say predictable with this last part of the storm. Well, none of it's been predictable all the way through. They haven't got any of it right, and we're all kind of left to field. And it is very hard to take 2D models from satellites and put them in a 3D environment. So you're trying to take a picture of a 3D model and trying to figure out what's happening. And sometimes it doesn't work. And we're at that it doesn't work part. This could peak up and be much bigger overnight hours than they expected. It may be smaller. They predicted that this would all hit this afternoon. It hasn't hit this afternoon to the degree. They were saying it's only going to be KP2, KP3 all night. But yet they have that big plasma arc hitting Earth. Unless they think it's the opposite or the same polarity and it's going to hit the southern hemisphere and not the northern hemisphere, that's the only thing that would account for the low numbers. They're not predicting a big boost off this solar wind from that coronal hole either. I don't know if they're right. It's going to be a wait and see situation, I guess. I would keep an eyes on this situation. We're not out of the game frame. We still have tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night that we potentially have good weather to see solar storms. If this were to pop off and produce any sort of solar storm, CME, it can push at what's out there at any time and give us more than expected. So I'm not seeing the point that we've had a slight magnetic load change here. I'm not seeing where we're taking a major plasma load or a magnetic load this afternoon. So wait and see. We are seeing a density climb. Okay, I'm seeing a wind speed change here. Density is going up. I do think we are getting somewhere. So I would be checking your models. We may be starting to see that plasma stream hit right now. Or the beginning parts of it. Or some of the solar wind from the early parts of the coronal hole. That is changing. It is going up. So we may be in luck tonight. Okay, going to look at our weather model here. West coast of Michigan, thumb area, you should be in the go area. If you are above this thumb and the correlating western side of the lakeshore, you should be able to see at a KP3 or higher. If you're below that range going across the United States, you're going to not be able to see much until it peaks up to, KP 5, 6, 7. At a KP 7, you should be able to see it down into the top part of Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. So you should be able to see it if it hits a KP 7 again. If it hits that. I do want to remind everybody on our Facebook page, I posted Ryan Hall, you all's weather report for this weekend and the latter part of this week. Go check it out. Please support Ryan Hall, you all. He is doing a marvelous job. He's connected with all our weather chasers. They are going live with him into these storms. So he is able to get reports, live reports, out to people in the minute. And he is able to get warnings out to people before they get to the Weather Channel, before they get to the National Weather Service. And it is giving people anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes head start to get to safety. And it is saving lives. So please, people, support his channel. Please support this group of people is doing, because they are doing an absolute marvelous job. And if you have severe weather coming at you, I would advise going to his channel and watching him, because they do a marvelous job at keeping you updated. And they go live with every big storm, whether it's thunderstorms, hurricanes, or big snowstorms. They go live and they keep you posted. He also is doing a new nonprofit channel. It is, and the feed from that channel is going to provide much needed services. And it is, like I said, it is an actual nonprofit. The storm chasers are carrying emergency gear with them. All of the storm chasers in his network are supplied with emergency supplies that they can hand out when they go into an area that's hit by a tornado. They have first aid kits, they have emergency supplies that people can use, and they're handing them out. They have go teams that go in and are carrying in bottles of water and food and clothing and different things that people might need. They've even gone in and gave people emergency cash for hotel rooms and places to stay, and emergency gas if they need to go somewhere. And this is just they're getting in there before the Red Cross and before the more organized charities are, to help people. And that is a good thing. So please go in, find his new nonprofit channel, support what they're doing. It gives all of us a better platform to help each other. And I really think that's a good thing in our world today. Real quick mention, I've talked a little bit about all the changes on Earth, and we have a new model that can look at what's happening 60 miles to 1,000 miles above us, and how much particles, charged particles, electrified particles are in our atmosphere that can interfere with radio propagations. And we're beginning to study more the effects of what those particles have on Earth and what the interactions between lower Earth and that ionosphere are, like propagation of thunderstorms and lightning, and do they have an effect on destabilizing fracture zones on earthquakes? So go look this article up, read it, get a basic understanding of some of the science that is going on around this, because it's one more piece we can use to study what's going on and predict auroras as well. But it also just gives us another tool to understand our solar storms, and that's a good thing, because they do more than create eye candy, people. And we really need to dig into the science of that. Now, there is one type of effect that this solar cycle we're seeing an increase on, And I want to take a minute and I want to point out, and want to feature this one. It's Channel 4 out of New York City. They published this April 2nd of this year. And it's their lightning strikes the World Trade Center. The video is amazing. I'm not going to share that because I don't know the copyright. But I do want to share this screenshot of their page, this image of this lightning, because this is happening more and more often. And it happens frequently off tall buildings and buildings that have a point to them and reach higher up into the ionosphere are more typical to create this type of lightning. And this is called a positive charge or earth-based lightning. It's lightning that is created from the electrical charge within the earth, and it shoots upwards. This can happen anywhere. It does not have to have a tall, sharp, pointy object to channel it. If there is a path of least resistance, it can happen anywhere on Earth. And this is something that is happening more prevalently with the solar cycle as we move back into a more normal solar maximum where we're getting more of an electrical magnetic charge. We're starting to see more of this type of lightning. And we need to be more aware of it because it's the most deadly kind. Because we can't predict where it's going to hit. We can't, it's not coming down out of the sky at it. It's going to come up underneath us. And so we want to learn a little bit about it, understand what it is, understand how it happens, and make those around you aware of it. And just so all of you that have kids, do you know the lightning and thunderstorm saying? When thunder roars, stay indoors. And why do we say this? Because if you can hear the lightning, or if you can hear the thunder, the lightning can hit you. If you can hear thunder, you are in danger of being hit by lightning. It doesn't matter if that storm is to the north of you, to the south of you, or past you. Lightning moves 30 miles in any direction from a storm. There's a reason they call them bolts out of the blue, because you can be standing under sunshine and still get hit by lightning. So please, if you have children, go to the NOAA weather page, look up the thunderstorm safety, look up the children's portion that talks about thunderstorms, and share it with your kids. Now, what are some of the other things that all of this electromagnetic energy changes on Earth? Well, I'm going to leave this here while I talk about this. Since we had the M-class flare, or just before, so going from the 21st till now, and we had the M-class flare, I think, on the 22nd, early on the 22nd. So right in that window to just before the M-class flare and just after, we have had 3 very rare earthquakes in the country of Myanmar, which almost never sees tornadoes. They have had 3 tornadoes. They have had a tornado in the country of Oman that caused serious damage to a city. Saudi Arabia had a thunderstorm that was largely unpredicted that caused massive flooding that was not expected. There was a completely unexpected thunderstorm that hit Havana that caused some flooding and ping pong sized hail that Cuba had never seen before. And a lot of these severe thunderstorms that we're mentioning were tall enough that they were producing and dropping hail that is something very abnormal in these countries. There was a sudden, unpredicted thunderstorm in Ada, Turkey that produced some very heavy flash flooding and a lot of damage. We had a storm. I don't know whether it was a storm or what. We have had a wildfire get started in North Carolina. They're still investigating the cause on that, but from the picture, I would probably guess it was a lightning strike. We won't know for a couple days, but I'm going to probably guess that it is a lightning strike. And we have lost something like 36 acres, or a fairly significant portion of acreage has been with that particular wildfire. We have had 3 6.3 or 6-point earthquakes or higher. And just yesterday we had 3 7.1s. 2 of those were in the Kermadec Islands off the coast of New Zealand, and 1 was off western Indonesia area. We have had Popocatépetl volcano erupt. Sanjay volcano erupted and issued dioxide and ash 9 kilometers into the air. And I'm going to talk about this particular volcano. Nevada de la Ruz is one of the most deadly volcanoes in the world today that has erupted in the past. It has killed up to 23,000 people. And as you can see from the picture here, it is a very high peak. It has a lot of snow, and when it erupts, all that snow melts into rushing water, picks up mud, stones, rocks, trees, anything that's not tied down that it can dislodge, and it creates a lahar. And when it erupted in 1985, it created this lahar that traveled down and completely destroyed the city of Amero, killing 23,000 people instantly. They are in the portion of evacuating the areas around this volcano. They don't know in which direction it's going to erupt. And there are many cities that are in the path of this volcano that could possibly be affected by a lahar. But that has seriously kicked up eruptive signals since the solar storm, and they are expecting a full-on eruptive event and are in the process of evacuating people. So please take the time, learn the science, be a citizen scientists, and be observers. You never know. The thing that you learn and you observe and the thought you have might be used to create a prediction. So you might be watching, this solar storm creates this, and this. And I see this, and this happen consistently with every solar storm. And you get in touch with these scientists that are doing these studies, and you share your observations, and you help them tie it into a bigger prediction pattern. And you help them create something to where we say, hey, we had an M-class flare of this point. It's Earth facing. We're going to get hit. This Earth fracture zone, let's use San Andreas fault line, as having harmonic signatures like it's going to erupt. Let's move people into more safe zones and warn people that we are expecting an earthquake at an increased probability in this area so that they're prepared. Or maybe we have a typhoon that could hit land, and we have a major solar storm, and it's going to hit our ionosphere over that typhoon. And that's where going back and studying this tool right here, to where we know that it's going to have supercharged particles over that typhoon or hurricane. Wow, that's going to really ramp up that particular hurricane, typhoon. We need to warn people ahead of that typhoon to make better preparations. And those things are important. They save lives. And it's something you need to know, because if, God forbid, you don't have the tools, the satellites, all the things that we have, and all you have is your eyes. Solar storm. Hey, I live in a flood-prone area. I want to be extra careful because I know I could see a thunderstorm coming. If all you have is your eyes, knowing these things can help you. Having information can help you. And if we were ever in a situation where we have a major breakdown to where we have such a large solar storm that it wipes out electricity and all you have is your eyes to depend on, that knowledge will save your life. It really will. So you need to be prepared. You need to understand that solar storms cause more than auroras. And you need to teach people actively to look at these things. So I'm going to leave it there. Everybody have a nice night. Hopefully it's better tonight. I am completely befuddled with this storm because they've changed directions on this at least twice. And I still don't think they have it right. This is very weird. I don't think it's moving the way they think it's moving. I don't think it's moving at the speed they're moving, and I'm questioning the polarities. And it's just going to be a wait and see. We might get tonight what we expected last night. And that was the original prediction that it would hit tonight. The original prediction that it would hit tonight, not last night. So maybe we'll get lucky tonight. They're saying it's supposed to build after 8 o'clock. So, and I am seeing here's your 500 mark. We have had our wind speeds hitting almost 600 miles an hour, and we have had a sudden spike in density that dropped right back off again. So it's getting a little unstable. We might see something pick up here in the near future. Just get ready to go, I guess, is the answer. And wait and see. I will leave you with that. Good evening, everybody.